Okay, Robert, we are live. Thank you so much for joining me today, Robert McKenzie.
I appreciate it, Kyle. I'm excited about our conversation. Sounds great.
Well, thanks so much. So we got here today, or we gathered today to talk a little bit about your firm, Rankin McKenzie. 22 years old, served over 600 clients in the Triangle region of North Carolina and beyond. But you are the best known, biggest firm in the Triangle for fractional CFO and controller services. Can you tell us a little about how you got started and how Rankin McKenzie came to be what it is today?
Yeah, Lawson Rankin and I met back, gosh, it was in the late 90s, and we were dreaming this up um, and thinking about what we would do. And then I had a software company. I was the full-time CFO there, and the VCs got upset at the CEO, fired him, me, and the chief product manager. And I picked up the phone, called Lawson, and said, "Let's start." And that was where it took off.
So that was 22 years ago, and today there are almost 30 partners collectively running almost 100 companies at any given time. That's really
That's
that's
right.
really exciting.
Oh yeah.
Um, One of the things that we get a lot, and this is a new format for us, so I'm sure we'll experience some technical difficulties and things, but so often we get questions from other financial executives about what it must be like to be a partner at Rankin McKenzie. It's something that I think you're very proud of, is you've taken sort of the best of both worlds, that being a full-time W-2 employee, a very traditional, CFO role. You've taken the best of the independent freelancer CFO, and you've pulled them together, and that's what partnership at Rankin McKenzie looks like. And so you've taken a lot of the best, and you've mitigated a lot of the downsides of both of those. So I'd love to hear today about sort of what life's like as a traditional W-2 CFO or freelance CFO, and how you've managed to take the best of both worlds and bring it here into what folks can expect at Rankin McKenzie.
Sure. I think what happens when you are a full-time CFO as an employee, you have a boss. Everything, your career, what you do is riding on that company and that position. You have a lot of power, but again, it's limited, and you putting all of your career risks on one entity. And then it ends, and it will end. Either you get a new CEO, you don't like him, the company gets sold, or you have a falling out. And then you have to go when you're switching to and find another company, and you go through that. But during that time, you're under pressure because you are an employee. What Lawson and I wanted to come up with was where we're not the employee, we are really a partner with the CEO and with the board. We're shown as we're working for them, but not working under them. Much like an attorney works for the client, it's a peer level. And that, I don't ever see any of my clients, the CEOs I work for, I don't see them as my boss. I see them as a client, that we're on the same level. And the biggest thing is you can be honest. You can tell them the truth. You can tell them how it really is. And because they now value your information, and they recognize that you're coming at them and you're telling them the truth, not because you're subordinate. It's instead because this is what you think is the right thing. And sometimes we'll disagree. And I have always a saying that I will, if we disagree and he wants to go left and I want to go right, and he says, let's go left, and I say, that's great. As long as it's not immoral or illegal, I'll support you 100%, and let's get it done. And sometimes I was right, and sometimes the CEO's right. So it's great. I think that's the transition over was being with one employer and having a boss. I don't have a boss.
So you don't have a boss, but I could argue, well, you could have that same relationship as a freelance CFO, where you're not technically working in the traditional capacity. So how is it different
Yeah,
for our Rankin McKenzie
that's
partners?
absolutely, it's the same thing. Yeah. Being a freelance fractional CFO, same kind of thing. And you have that same kind of relationship as you would with Rankin McKenzie. The difference is a couple of things I think are the most differentiating. One, you're probably heads down working on the client or two or three that you're working with, and then one of them ends. The company gets sold, or who knows what, a lot of things, and then you're now having to go back and fire up your whole network and say, hey, I need another client. And, because you've not been doing that because you've been working really hard on your client's work. So that becomes an issue. And the other issue that I think is harder on being independent is you have to negotiate pricing initially, and maybe as you want to have increases, and you're doing it rather than having the company do it by Rankin McKenzie, which puts you in a better position where you're not negotiating with your future client, the company is, and that helps that preserve that relationship from the beginning.
Excellent. So just one of the many benefits of Rankin McKenzie is you don't have to do your own business development. You don't have to think about that. Um, I have in my notes that um, Rankin McKenzie, despite being the biggest in the triangle, is still largely limited by the number of high quality partners, on the team at any given moment. We've got always have leads. We always have clients looking for fractional CFO work, and then we're always limited by the number of partners that we have. And so, your goals for the coming years is to find 2 to 3 really great new partners year over year to add to our team. What are you looking for? Because it's not one size fits all. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it isn't for lack of just people. It's people at the caliber that we have, and actually have the experience with the kind of clients that we typically have, and where they are in their life, and this is the right thing for them at the right time. So yes, Beth Mullaney, who is my business development partner, every Friday she gives me a list of all the work she's done that past week, which is phenomenal. I can never figure out how she does it all. And all of the leads, the clients, the new closings, it's amazing. So yes, all of our partners are always full because we typically have our clients for, I'd say, typically 2 to 6 years. We're not sitting in there for 6 months. We don't do projects. We're doing it for a period of time that transitions through. So what we're looking for are the typical profile is someone that's somewhere in their 40s, 50s, 60s, some of that. We generally, people under 40 probably don't have enough experience. Most of our folks are North Carolina CPAs. We feel that's really important because of the devotion to the profession. And it also adds a lot of credibility with the clients. Just be having the word CPA at the end of their name allows the client to go, yeah, that person knows what they're doing. So I think that's, those pieces. We also, that you have experience in the kind of companies that represent the triangle. We have companies, it's amazing the industries they're in, but as you know, here in the triangle, we don't have many publicly traded companies. So we don't even do publicly traded companies. If you were the greatest CFO from IBM, and then you'd worked at Google as a CFO, you're fantastic, but you're probably not a fit for us. but I think for most of it, if you've worked in companies that are typical somewhere between, you know, 5 million to $100 million companies here in the Triangle or in other states, those are the ones that we're looking for that kind of caliber. And I think the other big piece is where you are in your career and what do you need in order to be, fulfilled in your next career step.
Well, yeah, fulfilled. I think that's a great segue. As we talk about why folks are looking for this lifestyle, and this is not a job. This is for many folks a change in lifestyle. We were speaking just earlier today. There's a study I have on the other screen here from Deloitte this year that says nearly 70% of the C-suite are seriously considering quitting for a job that better supports their well-being. So we tend to think of burnout as as a labor level problem, and the C-suite is experiencing burnout at rates equal to or higher than your typical line workers and middle management. Burnout, has a lot of components. We talked about how typically individuals don't get out. Organizations burn out, individuals. And so that's cultural, that's structural. Tell me how the culture and the structure at Rankin McKenzie addresses, folks that might be feeling burnout. How do we address, individual components of burnout, like, emotional exhaustion and sense of lack of accomplishment and things like that?
Yeah, it is very common. What I see in people is that something happens in their early to mid 40s where they're getting a good paycheck, they like it, but there's something missing. And it seems like every year that hole that's in there is getting bigger and bigger and bigger in size, and you're not being fulfilled. And you're like, I'm doing this work. It kind of gets boring. It's soaking up my not only whole day, my whole week. I don't have a good work-life balance, and I'm kind of stuck here. And that's the kind of person who said, but I've got great experience, I've got great knowledge, but there's something missing. And that's the kind of person that joins Rankin McKenzie. Because if you meet me personally, you will hear me say the word an emotional pay. We're talking about burnout is where you have not enough emotional pay, in my period. And I use the word emotional pay because we know what cash pay is. We all know what that is. But you want more. And you all know guys and gals that are, let's say, in their 60s, and they go, oh yeah, I could go work for them and they pay me double, but I don't want to do that because I want to do things that I enjoy. Okay. And that person's in their 60s because they need a big emotional paycheck. You don't need a big emotional paycheck when you're 20 years old. You want cash. But when you get older, you're going to start wanting that more. And the way we find that you get to do that is to be able to work with these variety of different clients, and the impact that you can make on them is tremendous, and you suddenly start being fulfilled. It's really an amazing thing, and why our folks, honestly, Kyle, we haven't had anybody leave us in the last 4 or 5 years, I think. And I'm gonna tell you, every one of our clients, every one of our partners, and almost all of our clients asks us, "Hey, can you come work for me full time?" Every one of us say, "Oh, well, you got to do that." And we somehow get tempted, but then they go, "Wait, I'm losing the emotional pay while I'm here," and they stay. So you know how tough it has been in labor, Kyle, in the last few years, and how hard it is. So yeah, people, that's why they stay with us, is because they're getting that emotional pay they can't get with a W-2 job.
So that's what people are looking for. We just saw the survey. Great response from
Mhm.
you. In fact,
Mhm.
the same survey went on to say 81% of the C-suite say improving their well-being is more important than advancing their career.
Yeah.
That said, if I were, entertaining a conversation with Rankin McKenzie about potentially becoming a partner, should I be expecting to make very little money? I mean, we're saying it's not everything, but tell
Oh
me
yeah,
tell me
you
about
got.
the
Oh
cash. Tell me about the benefits.
yeah. It's actually really good. You can make clearly you can make more money. I mean, I can't speak to everyone, but our partners in general make more considerably more cash compensation than they do when they were a W-2. It's we don't have benefits like health insurance and things like that, but the amount of cash compensation is more than good for all of our folks. But which is also interesting. We uh, we oftentimes participate in you can participate in stock options, even some. You can participate in bonuses. We have many of our clients will pay bonuses either on an annual basis, or they'll even do it, especially if it's a big transaction. They help the company sell those things. Invariably, the client is so grateful. There's no contract for it, but the client says, "I'll go ahead. I want to do that because this person really helped me sell my company." So the compensation side isn't there, but it doesn't have the traditional benefits. Everyone at Rankin McKenzie is a partner. It's a K1. You got a K1. It's a non-equity partner, but it's their partner. And I think for the cash compensation, that generally isn't a problem for our folks.
So you're saying that in terms of fulfillment, we're structured around emotional pay,
Mhm.
flexibility, peer support. It's
Yeah.
often
Oh,
very lonely at the top, and that's one of the reasons we're burnout. We're not only overworked, but we're doing it by ourselves. And here at Rank McKenzie, I have a lot of peer support. I'm in a position uh, to better view my clients as peers
mhm.
as well at the C level. But I'm not giving up the cash for it. In fact, I'm doing very well on the cash front. And what you told me, I think earlier in our conversation was that leaves once again flexibility for you to pick and choose your own benefits. And some other partner in the firm has your same goals, and the support is there to talk about how would we structure that? How would we optimize
Yeah.
your package given your individual interests and desires? So once again, it's flexibility.
Oh yeah, it is. And it's and speaking of support, I think one of the key pieces is you've got everyone else in the group who it cares about you because they want you to be successful. They want you to be successful because they see you as a partner. You're not an employee. You're not, a threat or any of that kind of stuff. You are their partner, and they want you to succeed. So, it, quite frequently, at least every 2 or 3 times a week, we'll get a partner will then write everyone in the group. It says, "Hey, has anybody dealt with this payroll provider, Paycom or Paycor? Is what are your thoughts on that? Or anybody know how to deal with this particular accounting situation? Or who can I go to get that? Or here are these other issues and problems. Anybody can me, lend me a hand." And invariably, everybody says, "Okay, I've done that," or "Call me, I'll take care of that for you." It's really very supportive because none of us individually have all of the knowledge that you need to deal with these different various clients. But having a large group like us, it allows somebody in our group has done this before and has dealt with this and can help you. So that's to me, one of the big advantages of getting to the size that we have. And is to be able to have that support with all the other people. When if when I was a CFO full time as an employee, it was just me, and you know, and it wasn't the same thing. Here, it's I got 30 people who I trust, and they do a great job, and I'm like, amazing. They know a whole lot of things that I have no idea about. They're very sharp. I know things they don't know, but that's all how it works together. We really are a team. And that's really different than an independent person, because they're a body of one. And when you're an employee, you can have a network, but it's just not quite the same thing, because they're not pulling for you.
I'm looking at your website while you're talking, and earlier, you said there's requirements we like to see for all of our partners in terms of general experience and certain certifications and things, but on the whole, there is no standard client, because there's no standard partner because we don't have standard clients. We have lots of broad expertise. I'm looking on your website now: government and defense, manufacturing and distribution, medical, biotech, ag tech, not-for-profit, pharma and CRO, lots of different, industry spaces. And so as you're looking for folks, someone who may not think of themselves as an ideal candidate may have exactly the type of experience we're looking for in a certain vertical, or that we're needing. One thing I'm curious about, though, is it strikes me that it'd be pretty rare for somebody in manufacturing to have a lot of regular exchange with somebody in pharma, or someone in defense to have a lot of exchange with somebody in the not-for-profit space. So I'm really curious about how much how much does it benefit these folks to see systems and ideas and ways of thinking that are not inherent to their industry, because we all get very insular, and we do things the way our industry does it. And we always find anytime we can borrow ideas from the outside, often that's the secret to break open a problem. Is that something you see happening as part of this group?
I see, really, actually, I'm sometimes surprised at how much knowledge of these, there may be somebody who's really done, a lot in the biotech area, but then they're over here. I've had this experience in my past. I know what to do. And there's a lot of applications. I mean, I think in this market, the biotech and pharmaceutical companies tend to want to have somebody who has that experience. Okay. Now, Jeff Bell, who's a very close partner of mine, Jeff came out of Dillon Supply. He was also doing automobile. He was in accounting and big dealership kind of car dealerships and Dillon Supply. And we got him involved, and he is now does a lot of biotech stuff that I don't know how to do. I've done some, but not to the extent Jeff has. So he actually moved over to a different thing. But really a lot of the skills are the same. You may know technical things you need to learn about, and there are technical pieces, and we have that technical knowledge as a group. But generally, it's about good decisions and leadership, working with the owners. It's that kind of thing is what's universal for everyone.
Well, and it sounds like if you are interested in a possible vertical change, or trying out another industry, having that peer support gives you a little more confidence that I can have some resources to get my questions answered, and be more confident that I can deliver for the client while I'm learning on the job.
And I think you're missing out on life if you still are a Johnny One Note. I really think you will learn so much of it. The clients that I have are like, I never done this before. That's interesting. And then it's like, this is just a lot more enjoyable. And you learn new things and you can add value. It's really just kind of interesting. And I learned so much. And I learned so much from those other companies, the owners are there. That's what's enjoyable to me. I like the variety. Variety is big to me. I want to have different companies, different CEOs, different experiences, different cultures. Matter of fact, I've got, for me, I spend about a day of my week kind of focusing on Rankin McKenzie because
Yeah.
I have to be an operator. But the 4 days a week, other 4 days a week, I have 2 clients. And one client has a CEO who likes to make decisions very slowly. He thinks about it a lot, and the pace of the company is a lot more steady and routine. And then I've got another client that has 2 owners, and these guys are rapid fire. It's the fastest company I've ever been in. Things change almost daily. And the nice thing is, if I was always in the company that was just in a slow speed, or if I was always in the company with a fast speed, I'm gonna get either bored or exhausted. What's nice is it's a gear shift. I'm gear shifting. Monday, I'm doing the fast one. Tuesday, I'm doing a slow one. Wednesday, I'm doing the fast one. Thursday, I'm doing the slow one. And it blends. But what is one of the neat part of it is I will bring up problems and issues that I have in one client to the other client and tell them how we solved it there. And they go, oh, that's good. As a matter of fact, I take my clients and I introduce them to each other. And they're like, then they get to know a new person. And it's amazing what that happens even.
Well, I thank you for that answer. That's certainly something that excites me from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in,
Mhm.
I have a few things that I'd like to press you on,
Yeah.
and one of them is, I think the freelance crowd understands this, but if I'm a full-time guy and I'm spending 60 hours a week being a
Mhm.
CFO, maybe more, maybe a little less, but if I'm used to that, and then you're telling me, oh, you're going to come to Rankin McKenzie, you might have 2 clients, 3 clients a week. Um, I'm not sure how you can do that. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about how something as critical that someone may be spending lots of their hours on right now can be expected to get the job done in less time. And do we have to take 2 or 3 clients, or do we have that flexibility to take
Yeah.
1 or 2? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. So let me speak to that last piece first. It's a smart move to have 2 to 3 clients for the reasons of one will end at one day. However, I mean, we'll have one of our partners, and she has had this client for 15 years. So it's amazing,
Wow.
the software company. And so she's been there forever, but generally they're going to end at some time or another. And what I think you should always have a couple or 3. The variety also gets a mental shift, and you learn something new. And it doesn't feel like it's a full-time job in that there. When it comes to managing it, if you give me, Kyle, 8 hours to do something, it'll take me 8 hours to do it. If
Right.
you give me 30 minutes to do it, I'm probably going to get it done in 30 minutes, but I'll fill that time. What I work to do with all my clients is I say this, and it's an impossible thing to do: work yourself out of a job. So it's one of the things is we have to teach to our folks is, hey, they want to do it all. Sometimes I'll do the kind of controller work and the CFO work and HR, and doing that. I said, you're not doing it right. You are doing work that the client would be better off hiring and having full time, and you be their manager or their leader. So what you really start narrowing it down to is you're doing CFO work. You're not in there doing journal entries. You're not in there, reconciling, bank statements or whatever. You actually are becoming a CFO or a high level controller, and we have controller positions as well. And it's not where you're doing all of the small things, because if you're doing that, those tasks, if you're doing small things, that should be done by an employee of the company. That's what it really has to be. So by doing that, I wind up like, when my time is compressed, I'm in, I'm meetings, I'm leadership, I'm hiring good people, I'm managing them, and coaching them. And it's amazing what you can get done. I have to touch my clients, most of my clients, generally every day. I have to kind of touch them, and emails will come back and forth, and there might be a call or those things. So you can't divide them, exclusively, but they know that I'm going to be at this client on Monday and Wednesday. So they save up their meetings. That's when the meetings get scheduled. That's when, Robert's going to be here Wednesday. Let's ask him about it then. Or he's going to be here Tuesday, or he's going to be Thursday. It really helps, because the clients then go, these are when we need you. These are when the questions are. And it works so much better than if you're there all the time. You're going to get meetings every single day.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all experienced that, and having those boundaries built into the system, built into the structure, is critical, because no amount of individual discipline makes up for a structural problem or structural challenge.
I think you have to have good discipline about what you do and how you do it, and understanding of what the client, and telling them. I had a particular partner that I worked with, and that partner was doing things that they could really have done otherwise. And unfortunately, they were adding so many hours to the bill. The client was like, well, this is too expensive. And so that partner and I worked together, and then understood that, hey, I need to go in and hire people underneath me. And once that partner figured that out, then everything was great. Everything was great. So it's a transition, because you want to do it all. That's what your natural feeling is. But instead, by having it time boxed, it does force you to really be doing the highest level work and leading a team.
That sounds pretty fulfilling.
So it is. Yeah.
We've just crossed the 30-minute mark, which is sort of our target for this conversation. Sure. Before I recap, I want to thank you very much for the time today. We're doing this because there's nothing here that's mysterious, and we want people to know about it, because there's a lot of people suffering from burnout. There's a lot of people that don't know what options are out there. In fact, I've got a quote here. It says, "Burnout is what happens when you try to avoid being human for too long." That's Michael Gungor. And there are limits, for all of us. And I love what Rankin McKenzie has done, what you've built in terms of trying to say, how do we maximize on compensation, on emotional pay, on flexibility, on autonomy, and also how do we minimize some of the stressors, lack of peer support. If you're a freelancer, worries about business development, and the keeping your book full at the same time you're being dedicated to your clients. So I think, what would you like to say to folks that are interested in learning more? What's the process for folks out there with the right experience? Obviously we want to visit the website and learn about us and our clients, but
you should. I would do that. I would look at that. I would also encourage you to kind of read about. I don't read every bio for every partner, but I think you should read that and get an idea of the caliber and go, hey, those are pretty good, and I think I'm in that ballpark. That's great. There is a career page. You can do that. You can fill it in that way. You can write, or you can just email all of our contact informations in each profiles. Beth Mullaney and I are the ones who receive these. So if you want to, you can just write straight to me or Beth, and just say, hey, email, I'm interested. Here's my LinkedIn profile. That's you don't have to put a resume together. Just here's my LinkedIn profile. Can we chat? And it's confidential, especially if you're working at a full-time job. We have to be very careful about that. But we'll educate you, talk about it. And if that's a good fit for you and then a good fit for us, that's great. We move forward. Or maybe it's timing. Maybe it's not today, but maybe 2 years from now, a situation may change. And so that's great too. We will always be adding. But it's a situation where it has to be right for both sides. But we're open to talk to you all the time, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for that. There's one final thing I think I'd like to share. Looking at your site, now is we've talked mostly about what it's like to be a partner at Rankin McKenzie, but the client side of things is also is also a big part of it. And like I said, you're running 100 or so companies at any given time, and I would encourage folks to look at the website about how that partner or how that client onboarding process works as well. It's really a simple 3-step process, but I think it's really unique, and I'd like to share it. So step one, for clients that are interested, and it's very much word of mouth, it's very much network driven. You schedule a complimentary business needs and team personality assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, Rankin McKenzie matches the client with the most appropriate partner and sets an introduction to check the fit. So this is not something where you're getting assigned partner, you're getting assigned clients, and you get told where to go and how to do it. There's a lot of work that goes into fit and making sure that the personalities jive between client and partner, and that the partner is ultimately in the driver's seat about what they want to be taking on. So they have to be excited about it and interested. And then if they are, of course, we put the detailed proposal together and do the business development aspects for them. That's
it, and it really that's a good explanation, Kyle. It really is kind of how it works, and I think that's the key thing. Is we know Beth generally goes and meets with the client first, and she's meeting with usually a referral from a lawyer, banker, accountant, former client, who knows, and Beth sizes up what are their needs and what's the personality of the owner, CEO, whatever. And then looking back, and she looks like, okay, who in our team has that fit, that skill, that history, that availability. Sometimes availability can be an issue. Too much, not enough availability. And then talk to that partner and say, hey, here's what we're thinking. What are you thinking? They go, okay, let's go out there. So we go and meet. And then what happens is assessing what are their needs. And we're draft up a with you and Beth and myself, we develop what's the I don't say the contract, but what are the objectives that we're trying to do here at the beginning? We assess, is it a 1 day a week or 2 days, 3 days a week, whatever. Beth actually determines the pricing as a suggestion. You don't have to accept Beth's suggestion. You could actually go higher than that, or you can go even lower, but Beth's pretty good at knowing what that client would actually be comfortable and willing to pay on an hourly basis. And then from that, then Beth will go and talk to the client and said, hey, here's somebody, here's Robert McKenzie, here's a guy that you might want at your CFO, and here's the proposal, here's what he's going to focus on first and second and third, and this is how much it's going to cost you. And from all that, then generally we get the referral, let's say on Monday. Beth might meet with them later that week or the first of next week. The partner would meet maybe later that week, and we're closing it. We close from meeting them to actually having the person in place. It's not uncommon to be 3-4 weeks from the beginning to the end. It's a very quick close. It's one of the fastest closings in my business experience, because people have a need, they have a burning need when we're talking to them, and they're excited because there's a good fit, good knowledge, and everyone benefits from that. So that's kind of how the flow works.
Excellent. Thank you. I think that's a great place to wrap for today. Thank you to all of the viewers that joined us live. If you have questions that we didn't answer, please write them in the comments. We'd love to follow up with you. And I imagine we'll be doing this chat again or some version of it. And so if you're seeing this as a recording and there's an aspect of life at Rankin McKenzie or of fractional CFO work in general that you like some more information on, please write that in and we'll give us an opportunity to respond to that. So thank you again, Robert. We really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who tuned in live and on demand in the recording. Wish you all a great weekend.
Thank you, Kyle.